All right, we'll start. Good evening. Welcome to February's gathering of the Calumet Nature Exchange. This evening marks the initial meeting when participating teachers can earn professional development credit just for being here. I am recording this evening's session and it will be available on Ollie's website within a week. The agenda calls for self-introductions, followed by tonight's speaker, Joan Fasanella. A Q&A session follows that. And finally, we need to discuss potential speakers for the remainder of the year. The agenda lists contributions from our last meeting, including a list of 45 videos from past events sponsored by the Association for the Wolf Lake Initiative. So let's get started. I'm Michael Bowes, Executive Director of Ollie, and we're the facilitators of this meeting. And this evening's speaker will be Joan Fasanella, as I mentioned. She is a longtime volunteer for the Forest Preserve Districts of Will and Cook counties. She is a former environmental educator from Lake County Parks in Indiana. She has worked with local park districts promoting environmental education and sustainability. Her interests include local history of the Calumet region. She received a bachelor's degree in natural science from St. Xavier's University, Chicago, and a master's degree in natural science and environmental education from Hamline University, St. Paul, Minnesota. You pronounce that Hamline, Joan?
Yes.
Okay. So that's two of us. Wayne, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, Wayne Schimpf. I wear a couple of hats. One, a retired high school biology, urban horticulture, and environmental science teacher. Currently the conservation chairman for the Pathway to Adventure Council, which includes all of Cook County, parts of Will, parts of DuPage County, and all of Lake County, Indiana. And then globally, I'm secretary of a USA foundation called Caretakers of the Environment International that allows and supports, supports and empowers high school students to share environmental projects globally. And we sponsor an annual Caretakers Conference somewhere in the world this July. We'll be gathering in Costa Rica.
Okay, Jeremy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jeremy Strickland. I'm the Manager of Education and Community Outreach with Open Lands. I'm going to also be working with teachers for these upcoming workshops to get them professional development credits, which is certified through Open Lands. And just to throw it out there that we have a few volunteer educator spaces available for our upcoming Birds in My Neighborhood training sessions. If anyone wants any additional information about that, we have a training session available next week, next Wednesday, and we have a few slots available. But basically, with the Birds in My Neighborhood program, we train volunteers, classroom supporters to go into these classrooms of schools to teach these youth and young people about birds and connect them to nature. So there's a few slots available for that. The volunteer commitment time for that is 15 to 20 hours. So yes, just let me know if you want more information about that. But looking forward to this session and working with you all and getting teachers who participate professional development units through Open Lands.
Okay, Marty Baker.
Let me demute. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to participate in this Zoom tonight. I'm looking forward to Joan's presentation. I am a site steward at Orland Grassland, part of the Cook County Forest Preserve, and I am also a master naturalist. And I'm excited to hear what Joan has to say about teaching As soon as COVID goes away completely, I'm sure we'll start having groups back out to the grassland and during other master naturalist activities to be able to share some of the learnings today. And thank you again for having me.
Okay, Stephen?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephen Bell. I'm the Center Director at Big Marsh Park. I'm with the Chicago Park District. And Big Marsh Park is one of the newest Chicago Park District buildings.
Okay,
Interested
he's-
in your presentation tonight, and glad to be here with all of you.
okay, thanks, Stephen. Anthony?
Hello, my name is Anthony Escobedo. I am the Chief Naturalist at Dunes Learning Center. Dunes Learning Center is a nonprofit organization inside the Indiana Dunes National Park. We do residential environmental learning center education for our community and surrounding communities. And I presented at one of these and was excited about today's session, so I signed up.
All right. We're glad to have you. Colleen?
Hi, Colleen McVeigh, urban conservation educator with the Field Museum, also a master naturalist, and a former Chicago Public School educator for way too long.
Okay. Dr. Galbraith?
Yeah, Mike Galbraith, another retired educator, 40-some years, and trying to help Mike with some grants and some other projects as we move along. Only been around for a month now, so see where it goes.
All right. And Diane? Gurnia by phone? Okay, well, she's by phone. This is where we turn it over to you, Joan. And let's see if you can upload your information.
Okay, this may be a little bit of a challenge. Please bear with me here. Okay, can you see anything?
No.
All right. Let me mess around with this a little bit more. I apologize, everyone. I'm not real familiar with Zoom, so please bear with me. Let's try that again. Okay. Well, I do apologize to everybody again. Let me see what I can do here. I'd hate to think I spent all this time doing a slide presentation and not be able to show it to everyone.
Hey, Mike,
Yes,
can I jump in and maybe add some? What if she shared it with me and then maybe I can share my screen and see if that might help?
Okay. Who is talking so I
oh,
can
that's
share my,
Jeremy Strickland.
Yes,
Jeremy? Okay, thank you, Jeremy.
no problem. You just tell me when to go to the next slide. So I'm gonna text you my email address.
Okay,
Share it there.
I
And-
am ready.
Okay, give me 1 second. We're in this together.
That's working partners.
I appreciate that.
Okay, you should have my email address.
Okay.
Send it and give me 30 seconds and then I'll be ready to try to help.
In the meantime, we have Katrina Washington that just joined us. Katrina,
Hello,
hello. Can you just introduce yourself?
so my name is Katrina Washington, and I am an assistant principal at John D. Shoup School in Chicago.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome.
Thank
Oh.
you.
And thank you for taking your time, and hopefully you can empower some of your teachers to join Joan in using her outline it for getting outdoors that she's going to show us tonight.
Yeah, it sounds exciting.
Well,
Jeremy, that did. So,
You
why don't we
said
do this?
you
Can you
didn't,
just-
is it because of the size?
You know what, I've got, I have 2 email accounts. I have them both open and I didn't receive anything at either one of them. So if you want to spell it to me, I think I can, or I can send it to Mike.
Okay, I put it in the chat of this Zoom session. So do you see a
Oh dear.
message through this?
Okay, well, no. Let me do this.
But it's just J Strickland, JSTRICKLAND at
Wait a minute, J,
J STRICKLA.
at openlands.org. I got you. Okay, let me send.
There. I'm
All
gonna
right.
refresh. We're gonna get it done.
Yeah, I apologize. I don't use Zoom. Where I work, we use Google Meet. So I have no experience with it at all.
We're here with you.
So let me know if you got that.
Okay, let me refresh.
Yeah, there's so many different. Crazy. I feel for you. We've all been through the same exact process of.
Okay, I have it.
All right.
See, give me a minute. Open. All right. Pardon me if I'm a little twisted-eyed.
Oh,
Want to share my
oh
screen.
man, you're my hero.
Now I'm not going to be able to see this, so speak verbally if
Yeah,
you can see this
I will.
sharing. All right, bye.
And really what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a brief introduction and I'm going to walk through the lesson plans. And we'll just kind of take it from there.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a screen up here. Yeah,
Okay.
that's got to be you.
So
All right. Woohoo!
Can you see? I don't know what you can see.
Oh, right now I just got a picture and, you know, Jeremy, I can always send this to you also if you want. But the lesson plans, I sent them to Mike and he has a link to share it through Google Drive. So you'll be able to get a copy of everything if you don't
Okay.
already have it.
Okay, so is this what you need to move forward?
Yeah, I'm gonna need to move the slides around.
Okay, when you tell me to go, I'm gonna go.
Okay, I will tell you next. Okay.
Got you.
So anyway, the whole idea is bringing the heritage of the Calumet region into the classroom. I have been an educator at Lake County Parks, Gibson Woods specifically. I became very interested in the heritage of the area. I've always been a big history buff anyway, and this was just like fuel to the fire. You know, I was right in the middle of everything. I also became very interested in virtual learning. So these lessons that I have put together, they are designed that you can use them in the classroom, and they can also be assigned virtually, which is, with COVID and everything, that might be a good idea that you'd have a plan that the kids can go out and work on independently or in small groups. So I'm going to have you go to next. Okay, so why are we going to learn about the Calumet region? Next, please. Okay, for its ecological significance. Next. Geological significance, industrial significance, and cultural significance, and to instill pride in the area. Too often, I think, familiarity breeds complexity. So they don't really know what's around them. So I want the students to appreciate where they live and what they really got. So next, please. So in each lesson plan, I will have an objective, the subjects that'll be covered, approximate time allowance, materials that'll be needed. And believe me, if I can find it in my kitchen, that's good enough for me. So there are no big expenses out there. Links to online resources, step-by-step instructions for the facilitator. I want to make this easy enough for everyone, professional teacher and a novice teacher. They'll be able to walk through it and have a successful lesson. Suggested discussion questions. I put a lot in discussion. I think it's a way to build ideas. And lesson activities that can be used as an extension or independent. And then I always have a rubric so you can gauge what has been learned. Next, please. Okay, so exploring the Calumet region can be fun, and I want it to be fun. It's a lot of times lessons can be fairly dry. This is going to be more student-led and with the teacher just being the facilitator. So next, please. Okay. I divided it up into 4 main chapters. First one deals with nature. Next one will deal with the beaches, the industry in the area, and then the people. Next, please. Okay, so I'm going to start out with the first lesson plan. That's Birds of the Calumet region. And basically what we're going to be doing is the students will be provided with a list of birds that are commonly found in the Calumet area. And they are going to divide them into their habitats of forest, grassland, or wetlands, or savannas. They will all be getting books from the library, or maybe they will have their own. They can do this as a group and then divide the birds up and categorize them that way. Next, please. Okay, so I just picked out the dark-eyed junco for an example. Where this bird lives. And the next part of the lesson is, are they a full-time resident? Are they a part-time resident for summer or for winter? So the junco, of course, we only see that little guy in our area in the winter. It has a very small band where it is full-time, and then it has its summer range. So they're going to learn how to read a field guide book at the same time. Next, please. Okay, this is like a murder mystery. This is based on an actual event that happened at Gibson Woods, and I'll just kind of read through the scenario that the kids are going to get. Grayson, our squirrel, has been missing since he left his home at Gibson Wood. His worried family put up posters hoping to find him. Can you help find Grayson and solve the mystery? Grayson's family and the Gibson Woods Police have sent out search parties in the woods. They didn't find Grayson, but they did find the scene of the crime. All that was left of Grayson was his gray coat. The killer left a clue to his identity, and it's up to you to help the Gibson Woods find who killed Grayson or squirrel. Take a good look at the evidence, photographs, match them with the data in the rap sheet that the Gibson Woods Police has on subjects. Try not to get fooled, and good luck. So next, please. Okay, so the students will use research materials and online databases to compile a list of subjects. The students will compare behavior patterns to match and solve the crime using methods of deductive reasoning. Now, they will be supplied with photographs of the actual crime scene, and I will show them to you here. They can also go on to Google Maps and kind of look around and see what the topography is there. And I always encourage people to come out to Gibson Woods, really take a look around. They will be provided a map with the crime scene on it, marked on the trail. So, you know, it's a good way to get them out and look around and have some fun while they're looking. So the teachers will have the crime, or they can print it out. That gives them some background information. The students will use the clues and evidence from the crime scene and make up a list of suspects. They will research the habits of each suspect and who fits the criminal profile the best. Each subject will be checked, you know, range, habitat, size, preferred diet, behavior patterns. Okay, go on to the next one, please. Okay, this is our crime scene. And this is where Grayson met his demise. And this is included in the lesson plan. And go on to the next one, please. Okay, and this is the clue. So you can measure that out. I think I do have that measured in the one you will be receiving, but that wingspan on the one side is about 20 inches. So I'll give you a good idea. I don't have it in here, but I do have the map of Gibson Woods. So the kids will be able to look through different books that I've recommended, field guides and so forth. There are also several online ones that they can conduct their investigation at home if they need to. So this one should be pretty fun. And while they're at it, they can take some time for the other lesson and go out and identify 10 other birds. So go ahead and click to the next one, please. Okay. The next thing I moved into was a leaf ID. Now, leaf IDs are pretty standard. We will be provided with a dichotomous list chart of some of the trees that can be found in the Lake County area. But what we're really going to look into a little bit more deeply is hardiness zones and the change from you know, global warming. So, okay, go ahead and click it one more time. This is an art project that I did with the leaves. It'll give the kids an opportunity to make their own leaf guide that they can take with them. For this one, I got a flour sack at the Dollar Tree. So I spent a whole $1 on that and used crayons and collected some leaves, and then I labeled them with a Sharpie. So everyone seems to like this project. It'll keep them busy for a while, and it's kind of a fun thing to do. Okay, next, please. Okay, another part of this lesson is if you can get them, because almost everything's online now, are seat catalogs from different places around the country. So of course I got Brooks in Indiana, I pulled out one from Arizona, another one from Washington, that the kids can look at the different plants that are available in these areas, because they're going to be in different climate zones, and to kind of make a comparison of what their garden would be here in the Chicagoland area, as opposed to if they had a garden in a different part of the country. So go next, please. There's also an opportunity, and you're going to see it on the next slide, about historic plants. Oop, go back 3. Back. Okay, it's kind of gotten loose on him. But it's a chance for them to look at the seeds that were available at a certain time. Go back 2 more. 1 more, right there. This catalog is available online. It's from 1928 and compare it to a current catalog from 2022. So we got almost 100 years, and they can see if there's any difference in the seeds that are available and the crops that can be grown. So let's go to the next one. Okay, I thought this was kind of a shocker. In 25 years, look at the change in the Calumet area. That we've gone from a zone 5 to a zone 6. And zone 4 has completely disappeared out of Michigan. And zone 10 is moving in Florida and in Southern California. And the band of 9 has grown even wider in the southern states. So this is a good opportunity of discussion. What is going to happen? What plants are going to be available as far as crop plants? How is this going to change the economy? So there are a lot of different ways you can go with discussion here. So, okay, go ahead and go to the next one, please. Okay, and this one is kind of a little fun experiment that the kids can do. This is about leaf colors. So they'll learn the difference between the leaves, colors of color change, and the materials in here are really a cup, a coffee filter, and some rubbing alcohol. So it's really kind of a nice one. It goes even from younger children to adults can enjoy this one. And all the instructions are in the lesson plans. Okay, next one, please. This last one called My Special Place. This is a reflective lesson. Really what I want the student to do is to find a place that makes them happy, a place that they really like. And they can do a little video, make a slideshow, or they can make a storyboard, whatever they want to do. I do have some criteria. I'd like it to be less than 5 minutes, but I'd like it to be at least 2 minutes long. And the slideshows, about 20 slides, so to really tell a story. And there, once again, there's a couple different ways to do that. They can go different times of day. They can go different times, different seasons. They can talk about the birds they see. They can talk about the plants they see. You know, I think that'll be just kind of a fun way, and it makes them go out and do something and then have a chance to express it. So next one, please. Okay, the next one is beaches. Now this one section is really demonstration heavy. So once again, the facilitator can do the experiment, the demonstration. I've got one on ancient shorelines that I really recommend they do it outside. If they have to do it virtual, maybe they can get someone to film them and then post it for the students to watch. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. Okay. So for ancient shorelines, this Atlas of Biodiversity, I do have supplied a link for it. There is a really good 2-page part about the different stages of Lake Michigan. So I'd really like the students to review that. There's going to be a vocabulary game, and that is going to center mostly around glacial terms. Then they're going to do a little historic research, and finally do a relief map of the area. And I just put directions on there on how to find elevation on a Google browser just to make it a little bit easier for them. Next slide, please. Okay. Dunes and beach. We've got 2 demonstrations of creation of the dunes and beach. One is wind erosion, and the other one is water erosion. And I've also have a link to a video of the erosion problem at Portage Lake and Riverwalk, where they have they lost their beach within just a couple short years. Next one, please. Cooler by the lake. Now, who hasn't heard the weathermen say that? So I'm sure the kids will kind of identify with that. So I've got 2 experiments with specific heat, with soil and water and air and water. Right now, I've got the soil and water one. And all you really need for that are a couple of ceramic cups, a thermometer, and a refrigerator. That's one part of it. The second part is to create a graph and pick with temperatures, temperature along the lakefront, and then pick a location about 50 miles out and do like a weekly temperature comparison and then graph it out. So get a little bit of math in there also. Next one, please. Thank you. Dirty Legacy. This one, I have directions in there to make your own topo or a watershed. And all you really need for that is a butcher paper and a magic marker and some colored water in a spray bottle, so they can see how the water runs down and it collects in different areas. So that's something that, that you can use that as a demonstration. If you have enough water bottles and supplies to go by around, the kids can do it like in little groups. So it's kind of a way for them to see how that works. And you can throw in some candy sprinkles in there for solid waste. It'll be also a good point to talk about point and non-point water pollution. And then you can kind of have like a roundhouse. Is this, and the kids can think of what might be a point source or what might be a non-point source, whatever they see around their neighborhood. Okay, then we're going to go into a pond dip activity, and those are pretty standard. And I think everybody's probably done that at one time or another. But that's always a good one to see, like bioindicators. And I do have a link to a kit that you can purchase online that's relatively inexpensive, that will also include chemical testing. And then once again, too, I want to mention that I do have a demonstration in there. And this would be an interactive demonstration on pollution, where the kids put different components into a gallon water jug, and they can see like oil spills and so on and so forth. And I just retitled it, Who Polluted the Calumet River? So, next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you so much. Okay. Go back one real quick, but okay. This area really has grown up around the steel mills, and the steel mills have been such an important part of the development of the Calumet area, and really a part of the legacy. So I thought it was important that we include it. I don't have a lot of background about the steel mills, but I've got enough that the kids have enough to work on. Okay, go ahead and go to the next one. Next slide. So back one. So the discussion point on that is soot on the windows meant food on the table. So it'd be a good discussion for them, what that means, why it was so important, and what it means today to be a consumer or an environmentalist. And this can go a couple different ways too. You can split the class up, and some are, work as industrialists, and others can be environmentalists, and they can work on different types of points. One of the assignments I thought of too, and this comes directly from Christine Wally's lecture and her book, but to find a family member or friend who worked at the steel mills, and to write a 2 or 3 page story about their experience. I do have a list of questions for them to cover, and anything else that they might think that might be important. But it'd be a good way to see how the industry touched their lives. I know most of the kids that we're talking to now, they don't remember what it was like when all the mills were, in their heyday. I know I certainly had friends that worked at Wisconsin Steel and Inland Steel, and that all went away. So it'd be good for them to see what that was like. And once again, once they have the story, take some time out, maybe they can share their story and then have a discussion about what they learned and how and what kind of challenges they're going to face in the future. So please go to the next one. Okay, this is based on this documentary that was put out by the PBS station in Maryville. They did have a link and you could see the full-length version, but I see that since I wrote this, that link has been taken down, although I did find one that was about 10 minutes long. And that will be enough for them to get a good idea about the South Shore Railroad and really how important it was to Northwest Indiana. It made some of those communities in there like bedroom communities. It made it possible for them to, people who lived in the area to work downtown, but live someplace else out of the city. So, and I have seen a couple of older posters encouraging people to come and live in East Chicago and all these Whiting and all the communities right along the rail line. So this lesson is going to focus mostly on passenger travel because I had the video, but we will touch a little bit on railroads. Go to the next one, please. Okay. So after viewing the video, their assignment is to go through a South Shore rail line, or really they could use any one of them, and make up a virtual trip, look at some of the stations that the train stops at, see what's around there, and to make like their own little field trip that perhaps if they have time at some point, they can actually take it. Otherwise, what they're going to do is they're going to research one of these destinations and create a poster that's going to entice people to want to come out and visit, or maybe want to come out and live in their certain area, like the South Shore Line posters. And I do have a link to a website so they can take a look at it and kind of see the style and what these posters were made. Then they're going to show in a separate report, they're going to talk about their destination, why they chose it, what it has to offer, and why they think it would be someplace that people would want to go. Okay, and then they could also think about if they didn't have this opportunity, if the railroad didn't go through there, what the Calumet area might look like. So next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so extensions on this project are to investigate the importance of freight rail travel. And there's an awful lot on it. Really, there was too much for me to even include in my project. Then to get them out and about, to go visit the Indiana Harbor Belt Railroad Roundhouse in Hammond and take a selfie of themselves in the information sign, which I see has now fallen down. So they can take a picture of themselves in front of the roundhouse. They just can't get too close and trespass on IHB property. I also would like them to visit the Pullman National Monument Visitor Center. And at this point, they can make a T-graph contrasting passenger travel in George Pullman's time and today. So it's changed quite a bit. So go to the next slide, please. Okay, this one's kind of fun. This is just going to be a version of Guess Who. The students will be provided in advance a list of people who either were from the Calumet area, worked in the Calumet area, were champions for the Calumet area. And they should be given a chance to really look them over and encouraged to write at least a sentence or two about each one. After that, they will be able to draw or pick someone out of that list and research that person and actually kind of become that person. And then we do a basic guess who game where the student will get up in front of the class or speak and talk a little bit about who they are. And everyone has to guess on who they are. And of course, whoever makes the correct guess, then it's their turn to go ahead and go. So I just picked a few people that I knew were, like the movers and shakers of the area for this slide. Okay, you can go to the next one, please. Music in the Calumet region. For this one, I found a really, really nice video, runs about an hour, and you will have a link to that. It's called Record Row, the Cradle of Rhythm and Blues. And it's going to talk about VJ Records, which was founded right here in Gary, Indiana. And it'll also talk about Chess Records, which is from the South Side. Go to the next one, please. Okay, so the objective is to introduce students to musical contributions from the Calumet region. The students will gain an appreciation for the musical contribution from the Calumet area that influenced modern music worldwide. And, if you're unfamiliar, most of the music that came from this area and from inner cities, they influenced the British invasion, which influenced everything that we listen to now as far as modern music goes. Please go to the next slide. So I have 3 different assignments on this one, and you can pick and choose whatever you like. You can use all of them. It makes a nice unit if they care to do it that way. The first one would be to play Goodnight, Sweetheart, Goodnight. And that was written by 2 students from Roosevelt High School in Gary, Indiana, along with a couple of their friends. But it's a good example to start out with. So we're going to compare the sounds of doo-wop to earlier harmonic vocal styles, such as barbershop, gospel, and spirituals. Play examples of each. What's the purpose of the styles of music? How are they similar? How are they different? And most of all, how do they make you feel? And for the next part, then they can trace the evolution of doo-wop to more current music genre, such as funk, rap, etc. Explain how early colored music influenced what we listen to now. And in a group or small group, write and perform your own doo-wop songs. So they should have a lot of fun with that, I would think. Please go to the next slide. Okay, then music reflects social change. So I'm sure we're all kind of aware that music can be very political. So they are to research and make a connection concerning the evolution of Black music to events leading to the Civil Rights Movement. And what comes to mind, although it's a Motown, is Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, which really talks about the escalation of the war in Vietnam. And then write what you find about in a 2 or 3 page report. Okay, and research and describe the social implication of crossover music in the 50s and early 60s, and write a 1 or 2 page report on that. And lastly, describe can music overcome cultural divides, or is music still segregated? So write a 1 or 2 page article about your opinion, give plenty of examples. And go to the next slide, please. Our last one is music in the movies. So this might be a little bit difficult, but we can kind of wing it a little bit. Find a song recorded by VJ that was used in the movies. Name the movie, the year it was made, the song and its performer. It's the original version of the song or a cover version. If it's a cover version, who recorded it. And give a brief synopsis of the storyline. How does the song fit into the storyline? Does it help tell the story? Does it help set the mood? And how? Write about your findings and be ready to discuss in class. So I think that'll be a lot of fun too. Can make them really think about what really was here and really how important everything was. and a lot of contributions worldwide that came from the Calumet area. So this pretty much winds up all of the lesson plans that I had prepared for tonight. If you want to go to the next one, then we just can talk about some questions and answers. These are all open to be able to be expanded upon. You know, if anybody has any ideas or what they'd like to add, please share them. And thank you for helping me out with my presentation too. Appreciate that a lot.
That was very impressive, Joan. I really appreciated that. That was thumbs up.
That was awesome. I was taking notes and trying to listen to next slides, but we'll be following up. Thanks.
Yes.
Good.
Okay. And I noticed that Colleen had some suggestions as well.
Okay.
It's not a real suggestion. It's just,
Yeah.
you know, if you're gonna talk Marvin Gaye, you gotta talk Temptations.
Yeah, they're very important, both of them. Ball of Confusion.
So I do want to add that the Field Museum is currently has a traveling exhibit that was in Gary right before the pandemic hit, and then is going to be in Valparaiso very soon. Was at Pullman Memorial or the Pullman National, and it has a lot of these same themes. So if you want to see a museum exhibit that has a lot of artifacts from the different communities, it's very locally oriented, so it changes with each community it's in, and then in a year or so, it's going to come back to the Field Museum as and be kind of a compilation of everything that was put together. But anyway, I think it reopened because it was closed because COVID. But anyway, it's sponsored by the Calumet Heritage Area. There's a Calumet Heritage Area group that is working on getting the Calumet region designated as a national heritage area.
Yes, I'm familiar with that, and I absolutely support it and would like to do more, actually. Oh,
Joan, I thought that was great. That was awesome. I actually can't, there's so many different applications there. I was spinning around like how we make those connections. One of just two thoughts with the worked pretty hard to try to figure out the exhibit component that goes along with the building and acting as that gateway for the Calumet region. And two things we tried to dive into, but was actually provided a lot on just that focused on champions of the Calumet region who Black and brown champions from the Calumet region, and really being able to focus on them and highlight them, and kind of dig into who they were and their contributions to the region versus a lot of what we just know from past history in terms of street names and school names and all that other good stuff. So so that's one thing, just that there are, I think that collectively there's more to unearth there that would help to support that part of those lesson plans. And the other piece in that process of putting that together was the correlation between the environmental movement and civil rights movement and justice, and how those two meet and connect and either support or trail the other. So so really good stuff there.
And I'm already thinking about things that we could do to supplement that information. So awesome. It's good stuff.
There got to be so much in my research that I had to like cut it at certain points.
Sure.
But really what I wanted to do is have enough there for a good start.
Yeah.
And then you could be able to build on it from that point on.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, one of the, I'd add two things to your different activities. Number one, that I always found that having the kids when they're out, whatever experience they were doing, the birding, the history, and so on like that, is to have their notebook with them or their reaction book and have them do some sketching of what they see and how they feel about, you know, their situation, so that you can, you know, do the sketching. And then the other thing is that after they've had the experience, maybe they could develop some list of questions that they need to, you know, further, you know, answer and so on after they've seen this. Just see what, because what you're doing is you're creating open-ended opportunities for discovery. And any kid, whether it's a, you know, first grader or a college or an old guy like me, we like to discover new things. And so that's what you've got, is to discover, you know, things in a region. And then if you think a little smaller, you can discover all of the different diversity on your school site or lack thereof, and then begin to build programs with the Open Lands Project and, you know, gardening or creating some other diversity on their school site. And then the last thing I'll just say, I like the idea of, you know, self-guided discovery experiences with the family and going out and taking the, you know, doing the experience. So that's kind of my first reaction on stuff. So I'll stop talking. Yeah.
Well, a lot of these students, I would think, probably don't have resources, or many of them don't. And perhaps they don't have a family that would be able to take them. They're busy, they're working, you know, or for whatever reason, they just can't do it, don't have a car. So I tried to make it so that the opportunity and the place for them to go was there, but if they couldn't, they could do it online. So, you know, either way. So I tried to give them a couple, you'll see more in the download, but there are more like activities that they can do on their own or with someone, with their family or with a small group, either at home or if they can go out and see it. Of course, I would hope that they could go out and see it. That was one of the reasons that I wanted to do this project this way. I wanted to have it like as a little travel log. I have seen the ones from Junior Ranger program, and I was always been intrigued with how they would take a different spot and make it a little activity, but you learned about these little different spots. And I thought, why can't I expand this and do this on the Calumet?
And again, any school could become an epicenter for discovery in your different, you know, neighborhoods where somebody, I guess it was Stephen Bell, mentioned about, you know, the history of names and the origin of places, you know, just to discover, you know, if it isn't a numbered street or Avenue O and so on like that, but how did that name and who was it and so on. Just asking these questions. And then the other thing that was unique, you started with that who done it, sort of like a crime scene investigation. You know, you had the flap of the wings there, you had the clue, and then you extrapolated, you know, from that. And so I always call that become your BSI biodiversity scene investigator. You know, gather clues, you know, and so
Yeah.
on, like that. So yeah, you got a lot of fun things that that they can do, and it's multi-sensory, and I like the idea of doing your doo-wop songs. And being along the lake, you could do Lake Michigan, you know, chanties and so on like that. There's a lot of ones that, you know, tied in with the lake and the seafaring and so on. So yeah.
Can I jump in real quick? I deal with a lot of underserved communities. I come from the underserved communities, but if any of you or that are on this call have come across any families, groups, kids that were not having resources, or they're disconnect from getting connected to nature, you put them in touch with me. We're gonna find something. We're gonna turn over every brick, search every crack, and I live by that.
Come up with the Mighty Acorns program.
Yep, that as well. Yep, we're gonna get them there.
Yeah, Joan, Mike, I just had a question. I'm assuming as other teachers implement your plans and your structures here, you'll collaborate with them and this will grow, you know, using some new activities that evolve out of your outline. Was that something you had thought about?
Yes, and actually I was hoping it would evolve that way.
Good. Okay, it really, you have a nice structure to build on.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Yes, we're running
Is the-
out of comments.
Is the assistant principal still on the call? Because it'd be interesting to see how, as an administrator, she could see her, you know, faculty, you know, using this to, you know, create some fun while learning and taking the kids into other educational adventures and that. So I don't know whether she's
Yeah,
still on the
she's
call.
not- No, she's not.
I'm still here.
Oh, you
I am.
are? Okay.
There she is.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any thoughts from your hat as an administrator that you're wearing that you could see doing something like this with your teachers, or maybe part of an in-service, and have, you know, if Jamie can't come and present or something like that? Any thoughts on that?
I did. I heard a lot of great ideas and activities for students to be engaged. We are a STEM school, and so and we do engage and implement project-based learning activities throughout the school year. So I can see how many of the activities that were presented today could be beneficial to our students in our community.
Well, for a future meeting of our Calumet Nature Exchange, do you see some need that a further topic or something like that could be beneficial to your to you to take to your faculty, or mentioning to your faculty that they can get an hour of credit for participating? Is there any guidance that you could give Michael as far as any speaker or needs that could be met?
So yes, so I right now I'm thinking of tying in the nature end of learning about the Calumet region, and maybe bringing in some of those projects that were introduced in her research. So I have a few ideas, and we also do a lot with careers, STEM careers, and there are a lot of careers that our students don't even know exist around the nature and science and investigating. And I heard the forensic of, you know, the murder scene. So all of that is interesting to them, but they are not, they are not connected, and they don't have the I think I heard someone say resources or background to do that. So that would be my job, to bring that to them. So I'm definitely interested.
Well, maybe this is an opportunity for Jeremy and you to connect and so on like that. And then maybe participate, Michael, in identifying the next Calumet Nature Exchange activities in that, where we could help you go and grow your program. So I think that, okay, what grade is your school? Is it lower elementary or K through 8, or what
It's
grade level?
pre-K through 8.
Pre-K, so you got pre-K to 8, okay.
And
So,
Katrina, I just chatted you my email address as well. This is a very powerful and impactful group. I can just see the momentum growing and growing.
yeah, because see
Thank you.
Jeremy and our Nature Exchange and help can grow there, that you have your, assistant principal meetings and so on with your fellow, administrators in that. And then you can get some boasting and bragging. Here's what I've done in my reading grade point, my attendance grade point, my attendance went up and so on like that because of this. See, and then they're all going to come to Jeremy and want him to come over there, or to partner with Stephen Bell and that, to get them out to the nature center. If they can't go individually, they could go as families out there and so on. Because these 7th and 8th graders today are pretty mobile, and they can achieve a lot in that. And the exciting thing about those 7th and 8th graders, they don't know what they can't do. So give them a challenge so they can do. And hopefully it's a positive, socially acceptable do. So anyhow.
All right, I have to log off, but it's great seeing everyone, and let's keep in touch and keep the momentum growing.
Okay,
Okay,
Jeremy.
Take care, Jeremy. See you soon.
and
Bye, Jeremy.
Yeah, bye.
see you, Jeremy. And I would just want to ask Anthony, you're here for the hour credit?
No, I am not. I am just here.
Okay, I thought you were. And I don't think there's anyone else here for the hour credit. Okay, so we're going to have to encourage teachers that would, need the hour credit to get familiar with us. And I guess that's just keep mailing out notices every week and try to send them to folks that that we haven't asked before. So I'm always interested in people recommending others to be invited to these meetings, because tonight was there was quite a wide differences in contributions, and people coming in from different areas, and that is really nice to see, because it certainly invites input that you normally wouldn't receive. And so I think that was great. One of the things that Stephen's here, and one of the Jane Healy was recommending that we invite Stephen Bell to speak at one of our meetings. And I thought it was the similarities, what Steve had just done in setting up the environmental center there, and kind of the approach that you use, Joe, are somewhat similar, because you're finding names of people. Steve, you weren't familiar with the Calumet area that closely, were you, when you took on the job? And so,
No, it's been an eye-opening experience for me.
yeah. So names of people the names of streets. Of course, and on the east side, you don't, but you don't run into that. But everything was new to you, so you just went through that course, I think. That, but anyway, your name was brought up, I think the last time we met, and so would you have time to talk about your place?
Sure. Yeah, yeah, I would love to. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I keep getting this flash that my internet connection is unstable. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would love to. Yeah. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, Michael, I would love to talk about anything. But
Yeah,
I would definitely love to talk about the Fort Calumet Environmental
I
Center
think,
for sure.
yeah, I think Jane was really interested in all the activities you do have out there for students. And she teaches at St. Francis de Sales, so she's not far
Okay.
away. But I remember that I have it down on paper that she said, oh, we should get hold of Stephen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Wayne?
Well, I would be interested, Stephen, is that through the scouting program, whether it's the Cub Scouts or whether it's the Scouts America or the high school venture crew program, and that because the experiences at the scouting outing activity, because the scouts are also school students during the daytime and so on, that how your experiential activities, discovery, however you want to frame the engagement out there, or the physical pursuits, bicycling is big out there and so on, as to the crossover between the scout outing experience then to take into the classroom, and to explore not only the outdoor activities there for formal schooling, but for the scouts that are informally being schooled, but yet have some carryovers. So and I'd like to talk more with you maybe off this on doing some merit badges and so on like that would attract a clientele, the sixth grade on up to merit badges and that. So again, it's some potential there. I was hoping Lisa Downs would be on the call tonight because she's our guru to Cub Scouting and that. And
I'm here. I'm here.
oh, you are? Okay. Oh, come on, Lisa, say something, will you? Okay.
You know me, I'm listening and thinking and listening.
Okay,
So
so
I'm here.
what are your thoughts about this? Because you really get your scouts energized in that, and how could a school pick up on this energy and so on, and how could Stephen, as the nature center, or the what I call the neighborhood nature center, could be your school building, and creating more diversity on your school site, and having your own interpretive center and so on like this. I see Stephen getting excited there about that concept, is to make your own nature center, as Stephen led it down there, but for the students and the teachers to do it on their school site.
Yeah, yes, I'm listening and definitely thinking how we can encourage our scouts to do that. To let I know you always encourage that. How can our scouts bring it back into the classroom? So, I'm thinking.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if you've got some ideas and so on that you would want to share after you've made some notes and so on, maybe this would be a program where Michael could feature it, and then maybe if you wanted to have a few of your Cub Scouts join, or maybe the parents and so on like that that have, seen the impact that the program has had on their students, and then taking it into the school and have, a mixed, program, whether you could get a couple of scouts videotaped and so on, and then put some videos together to play for a future Calumet Nature Exchange program.
Those are great ideas, and I will, yes, I'll try to figure out how we can bring those to fruition. Definitely thinking.
Oh, okay, good.
Yes,
Well, yeah,
I think, Lisa, I think she brought up at our last meeting that Joel Zavala. who's
Yes,
your-
who works with Stephen, right, right.
works with Steve on owls, right? That's his. Is that correct? Is my memory okay, Lisa?
I know, I'm thinking, no, I don't remember
Okay.
that part.
Okay.
I think that there's definitely, Joan, there's one of the opportunities for us at FCEC is, I mean, we're still, I mean, we've been through this, we're COVID and construction and trying to open up, and everything's kind of been fits and starts, but we're still trying to make those connections to schools within those 6 or 7 communities that ring Big Marsh. And I think that the lesson plans and curriculum that you describe are awesome. They are like pathways to use Big Marsh and those other southeast side locations as sites for on-site hands-on learning to get out there. And I feel like Lisa's been doing that the whole time. I mean, she's been doing that through the scouts, and we have great connections with her and with her scouts, and we love them, and they seem to love our site. So I think there's a lot of synergy there. I think one thing that I can contribute to this, this connecting the dots, is I can go after funding to find funding it's the basics, right? It's buses to actually get school groups out to a site if they're learning in the classroom, and then they have an opportunity to actually to do some hands-on learning outside. That certainly is helpful and helps to complete that circle. So maybe the 3 of us can have a conversation, Joan and Lisa and I and Joelle, and that may be an interesting process to discuss on this website or on this conversation platform.
Yeah, you think the 3 of you could do that?
I know Lisa and I can.
Okay.
I'm a big advocate for, I'm constantly pushing Big Marsh wherever I am and however I can. And I mean, constantly saying, what? You've never been to Big Marsh? How could you have not been to Big Marsh? How do you not know about that? So, I mean, constantly, honestly. And, again, because our scouts were there from the very get-go, our scouts were the first ones out on the property before they, and telling us everything they were going to accomplish. So, right. Our scouts are happy to help in any way we can, definitely.
You think they might want to join the discussion?
I know, yes, I am thinking about that. I have some older Weeblo scouts who right now are working on going to start working on a movie making merit badge. And so the wheels are turning of how we can do that maybe out at Big Marsh. But also I think they're also very good with presenting in front of people. And so I think that would be, I can definitely have scouts that could do that. So older scouts who have hiked there and at other places in the Calumet region. What's important is our Cub Scouts we don't stay local. I mean, even this Sunday, we're headed out to West Beach to do a hike. So we make sure that, they've hiked at Cowles Bog, they've hiked at the Indiana Dunes, many different places. So Hegwish Marsh, we've taken them out to Marion Burns. So lots of different places in the Calumet region. So
Well, Lisa, if you are going to have some of your, older scouts do this, have them ask their school teacher for the school teacher's homework assignment to hear what they're going to say and tell
right.
as part of this program, say, and maybe even have them go in and invite the school principal to join and see what they're doing, say, because
Right.
some of them sometimes may not be the best academically graded students in the classroom, but are vigorous communicators, learners, wearing their scouting hat. And so I think that we've got to help them become successful. Oh, I
Right.
got the floor here, Stephen. Could you see what you're talking about, doing there for the schools around your nature center, doing this same type of activity? It's each of the Chicago Park District's existing nature centers. And then if there are parts of the city that aren't impacted by this zone of connectivity to a nature center, whether one of the field houses that sits on a body of water and has more diversity could be developed as satellite nuclear centers for this and that to grow throughout the city. And if so, I'd like really to talk more about this because I can see it help grow my scouting program, but also the best for this Chicago Park District and also the city schools.
Yeah.
And Wayne, not also, also
Yeah.
for scouting, but also for all the environmental things that the Boy Scouts are always looking for places to do, their Eagle Scout projects.
Definitely. Everything
Yeah.
is going through the mind, but I think that if we can get the and then see the other thing that we got going, we haven't talked about.
Oh,
Is each-
Wayne, is this the first time you're meeting Stephen then, or you two have not met before?
I don't know. Have we, Steve? I've come out and talked to Zapata. What's his staff?
Joel Zavala. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I met with him
Yeah.
about a year or so ago and everything. And then see, I was the first naturalist at North Park Village Nature Center for this. And so I'm on the North Park Village Advisory Committee, and then also I helped form the Park District's Advisory Committee, both at Jackson Park and then Lincoln Park, Washington Park, and then North Park Village. So we've got this community mechanism and so on. So if we could use yours as a focal point here, but then as a model we could take, because I'm going after a big Great Lakes restoration initiative through the forestry people to get a full-time conservation activity coordinator for the Boy Scouts to help, get something more solid going. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I would be more than happy to help with whatever I can, Wayne.
Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna try and get a sit down with Amaris over here and mention, what you're doing. And then when you guys have your staff meetings and that, you can kick it around and either invite me or kick me out. So, because I've been there and wore your hat a few years ago. So, yeah.
So
Yeah,
we're meeting on the 15th, March 15th as well.
Yes.
So, so we're thinking of doing this for next month.
I'm open to whatever you think, Michael. If it needs to be a little bit later, that's fine. If it needs to be sooner, I'm more than happy to do what we need to do.
Lisa, how about you?
Yes, I'm looking at the calendar. I don't think that I can, I don't know if I can have my scouts ready to present by the 15th of April, but March.
March, yeah.
So, yeah, I also serve on, with the Hegewisch Times, and so that's our paper deliver day. So
Okay.
I will be swamped up until the 15th. So, but maybe we could encourage, what I could do is have them attend on the 15th and see this, how this all works, and then prepare them to present in April. How's that? Would that work for?
Sure. And if they, what would be kind of neat is if some of one or two of their parents could attend.
Sure.
Because I think we're
Almost
talking
definitely.
about,
We don't do anything without parents in our Cub Scout Pack 773. We are definitely a family affair. I don't ever take a scout anywhere without a parent. So every hike has their parent with them.
and I wouldn't want to leave them out either. So
Right.
if you could get some of those that want to sit in on the discussion, it's all right for them to bring their mother or their father.
Right.
And maybe we can get them involved, because it's they're the ones that have to take them from place to place so it would be nice if we can involve the parents.
Right.
Well, could you, Lisa and Stephen, could you guys do sort of an introductory to the nature center there and his outreach ideas, and then a little bit about Lisa, how you historically were involved and what you're currently doing? Because I could see that filling up a whole hour.
Yeah, I definitely think Stephen and Joelle could fill a whole hour and then some. But I will be on with our scouts, and we can, I'm not a big presenter, Wayne. I'm a boots on the ground kind of like.
Well, that's okay, but you got a lot of stories to tell and challenges to give others. So
Right. So that's the way I'm looking at this, is that we will be, if Stephen and Joelle can present what is all happened, all the amazing things happening at Big Marsh, and then our scouts will be on at the same time, and they can, jump in when they'd like to, or they can think about how they can maybe in April then present, scouting in the Calumet region or something like that.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I can have the hierarchy that I answer to inside the Chicago Area Council. And then also I'm going to reach out to a couple of people in the Chicago Wilderness Alliance in the Education Committee also to join us and everything, because
that would be great.
I think we've got a growing model here that we could take and plop down any park district meeting place inside. Some biodiversity is limited or as lush as it may be, in order to act as a going and growing into sustainability in that. So, yeah. Okay, well.
Okay. Yeah, this is great that this evolved out of tonight's discussion.
Yes, thank you, Joan.
And Joan, I just got to repeat, I was really impressed with your presentation. It was, I know I have the information with me, but I really enjoyed the presentation.
Likewise.
But we still have to see if we still have outreach to teachers that are in the bi-state area that might be willing to join us, and we'll just have to figure out where they are and how we can approach them. But
let me throw this in. I had a thought on that. What have you done on Facebook? Have you been able to put anything up, reach out that way through the schools directly?
Well, Lisa, did you pass some of that information out to the schools in the area? Lisa?
I'm here. Just to Grissom, I believe.
Okay.
I don't think it made it to Clay.
Okay.
So hopefully for the next one, we can do that.
Yeah, Yeah, I would like to do the, in fact, we can, we'll come up with a leaflet for next week. I'm just trying to think. And Steve can send me maybe a photo of something that would be interesting. Just so, you know, instead
Maybe you can
instead of
get-
a mugshot or something of you, Steve, I would rather have something that, something with water in it, maybe, and something that would be appealing to a Cub Scout parent or a teacher. Yeah, something like that. We can get that out 2 weeks in advance. Lisa, okay?
Yes, most definitely. Yep, yep.
Okay, good. Then
I was also a longtime merit badge counselor. And what I used to do was I would email my information to all of the advancement counselors through the Boy Scout, for the Boy Scouts, all the ones that were for Calumet. So you could try that too.
okay.
What merit badges did you counsel?
A lot of them.
A lot of, okay.
A lot of them.
We
The one
need-
that I had, that was the, I had environmental science. That was the first one.
okay.
But I also had forestry. I did soil and water, although I did that in a partnership with Lake County Soil and Water Conservation. So they actually did it and we sponsored them. I did the same thing too with an insect study. I have a friend that works for Illinois Agricultural, and she did that for me. Oh gosh, I can't even think. There, it's
Yeah,
been a
I
while.
take it-
Nature, I had a lot.
I take it you don't do that anymore because we're trying to gear up. There's 3 merit badges that are required for a scout to get the World Conservation Award after they've done a service project relating to the 3 soil and water, and I forget the other 2, but they're there. So we're trying to get that World Conservation Award.
Yeah, that's a
Those 3
nice
merit
one.
badges combined with service. So if you're not familiar with the World Conservation Award, you may want to Google it and take a look at it and see whether you can give us some advice on getting some merit badges with some of the partners that you mentioned, which would be excellent for the scouts in the Lake County, Indiana area.
Okay. Well, the only actual organization I had that I had the partnership was with the Soil and Water Conservation
Yeah.
District. The rest were people that I actually knew who worked in the industry.
Oh, okay, good.
So it
Well,
was a little bit different, but you can always tap in on a 4-H
oh, yeah.
and see who you have that way. I used to
Yeah.
run them at Gibson Woods, had workshops on a regular basis.
Okay,
But then I had it like just a real fall off on attendance and I finally just let it go.
okay. Well, we're trying to get the scouting program a little more growing and going in Lake County, Indiana. So it sounds like, whew. Well, anyhow, yeah, you've given me a lot of,
Well, I've got a really nice archaeology one that I could do. You find me a place, I will come and do that program for you.
okay. Well, we'll have to get you involved. I live way up on the northwest side of Chicago on Edgebrook, about as far north and then as far west as you can get in Chicago. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
know you're up there. I know your name from the Scouts.
Okay, good. Okay, well, thank you very much for doing this and sharing your master's thesis and so on like that. So, yeah. Okay, well, I'm rambling, so it's 8:30. So, okay, Michael.
It's 8:30 and you want to go? I thought you wanted to stay around and
Gotta go
talk.
home now.
No, I don't want to go any further than this, but, and so we have next month ready and to implement. And so I want to just thank everybody for coming, and we'll we'll see you a month from now. All right,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Well, thank you all. And as we
Hey,
say,
take care,
rainbow
Wayne.
hugs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Thanks, Joan, again.
that's good. Okay, well,
Yeah.
thanks again, everyone.
All right,
My
Okay.
pleasure.
all right.
Thank